Hi everyone, I'm John, your host for today on Route to Scale, a short podcast featuring the founders and operators building the future of e commerce, fulfillment, and modern delivery. In this segment, we're going to be focusing on Africa, and today I'm honored to have Favour from Nigeria, founder and CEO of FavGrab, on this call. FaveGrab is a delivery platform that believes the food delivery should be fast, seamless, and hassle free. Their platform connects customers with their favorite restaurants, offering a smooth ordering experience powered by smart logistics and cutting-edge technologies in the city of Ori. I'm so glad to have you, Favorite, on this call. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, John. I've anticipated for this meeting, and I'm very glad to be here.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, Favor, if I were to just start off with something very light, right? What led you to start FaveGrab? We all know logistics is a tough business, right? Was there a specific experience or frustration that made you say, I have to build this in Nigeria?
Yeah, it was. I will take it back to pre-COVID, 2019, 2018. That was when the first idea and the first prototype that we built for FaveGrab came on. It was actually born out of frustration because back then, as a student in high school, I was found myself in a space that I have money, but it's very difficult for you to see where to buy good meals and good food, and so you end up eating the same thing over and over again, repeating same patterns, same meals. So we decided that okay, we have to do something. We have to have a platform that we can get all these vendors together so that our prospective users can be able to have access to any meal and any of meals and groceries of their choice from the convenience of their home. So that was what led us to founding of FaveGrab, and we launched fully in 2024, and it's been going well from there now.
Wow, wow, awesome, awesome. So, you know, we know that the food delivery market has quite a few competitors and its fair set of challenges, right? What kind of gap in the market did you see that could convince you that FaveGrab could win, even with some of these bigger players around?
So the big players, I would say that most of them are focusing on the ultra urban cities, they're focused on the major cities, and nobody's giving attention to the low and mid cities or to the still developing states in Nigeria. So that's the perfect gap that we saw. We have big players in Nigeria. We have Global, we have Shadek, we have a few other, including boats, and they're doing very fantastic jobs. But they are intentionally ignoring the small cities, and that's the gap that we saw. We decided to come in. We started from Owerri, and that's where we started from. We decided to start serving the small scale users and customers, because to also believe that we have to take up the smaller markets that are being ignored by these big players, and we'll see how we can conquer from there. And now we have taken up away, and we are moving to expanding into other cities like Port Harcourt. So that's a gap that most of they don't want to go into places where they'll have to do a lot of groundwork. They'll have to do a lot of sensitization and a lot of marketing. They just want to go into the mega cities, and thereby ignoring the other low mid cities. So that's a gap that we saw, and we decided to move in. And that's the current gap we're currently filling, and it's been going well so far.
Wow, wow, that's awesome. One thing we know that while the mid and low cities have kind of like have so much potential and opportunity, we also know that
Yes, they do.
last mile delivery in Nigerian cities is notoriously difficult. From what I hear and the research we're speaking to, there's difficult traffic conditions, there's poor addressing of different locations. Um, what operational tactics have you found to be the most effective in navigating some of these difficulties across some of these cities that may be not so well mapped?
So obviously, you would know that there's nothing like route optimization here, and most addresses are not properly mapped. So it's a problem. But we decided to do something else. Obviously, it's a city that I have been in for close to 9 years. So I'm very familiar with the terrains, and I'm very familiar with the areas that we're going to cover in such cities. So it was very easy for us to set up rider networks and have each and every one of the riders covering different locations and areas of the cities. And with that, we were able to minimize such challenges and errors and overhead that has to do with challenges that we meet every day. So it was very good because we understood that we cannot implement the routing will I say routing optimization that big companies abroad use. So we decided to start something of our own. We decided to still do it the local way, and it's been helping us so far so good.
Wow, awesome, awesome. And despite, having kind of like these very difficult mapping issues, right? How many deliveries have you managed to scale to, on a weekly basis from this?
So on a weekly basis, we're able to do at least 200 to 300 deliveries on a weekly basis. So.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Now, now your model also relies on a fleet of delivery riders, right? How do you approach recruitment, training, and keeping riders motivated while maintaining delivery speed and quality?
So we try to keep it as slim as possible because we don't want to overload the network, and when we start having issues, it will be very difficult for the network to be organized. So we kept it very slim. We don't work with most riders. We just have I think 10 to 15 riders that are covering the particular areas that we cover. So it was very easy for us because we don't want to start adopting the style of big companies like Glovo that have schemes that any rider can just onboard and start delivering immediately. So we kept it very slim. So we know our riders and our riders know us. So it was very easy for us to organize and get them working.
Nice. So Globee, you say is one of your competitors, right? Didn't they how do you think, I guess, they will fare in these more, I guess, more mid-tier or low-tier or lower-tier cities?
So I feel like they are expecting brands like FavGrab to actually create the way because they don't see potentials in those cities. Not because the potential doesn't exist. It's because I don't think they will want to, like I said previously, they want to do the groundwork and the marketing that comes with it because it requires a lot of effort to get to convince people that have not been exposed to food delivery systems to adopt food delivery services. So they will find it difficult to come in, and by the time that they might have come in, we might have captured our markets. So that's the plan. That's the plan all along.
Understand, understand. Awesome, awesome. Now, we know that trust cuts both ways on a marketplace, right? Customers need to trust the food will arrive hot and on time, and restaurants need to trust that they'll be paid, right? How have you engineered trust into the Fave Grabs experience in a unique manner?
Very well. So we already have a vendor app. So everything is not actually done done locally. We have a vendor app, and vendors sign up on the app. They receive orders on the app. So when an order is coming in, the vendor is automatically getting paid immediately. The money is already in their wallet, so they don't have issues about getting paid. And that way, we're able to mitigate any issues that is going to come up with any form of vendor payments. So that's what we basically adopted, and I believe that's what most companies actually do, because you don't want to have a system that will require at the end of the day you have to start going through your books and looking at vendors to pay and vendors not to pay. So we made every system about payments automated. So as you're receiving your orders, you're also receiving your payments in your wallet immediately. So from the vendor app, vendors can decide to cash out or their money, and they're going to receive their money in their bank accounts immediately. So that way those issues cannot arise.
Nice, nice. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Awesome work. Um,
Thank you.
so most founders in this space tend at times, because it's just logistics such a difficult business, struggle with customer acquisition and customer acquisition cost and retention, right? What does actually work for you in growing your user base in a sustainable manner?
So we actually had that issue. It was a very big issue that we had at some point, an issue that actually made me to reach out to top industry leaders and seek advices because why starting off with Grab, I think it was late 2024, early 2025. We had a very issue with customer retention. They come in, they breeze in, they order, and they breeze out. You don't see them again, and we have to start asking ourselves: Are we doing something wrong? That doesn't make them come back again and stuff like that. So we decided that okay, we are going to set up a team of customer relationship and customer success staffs. So we brought together some set of staffs and we assigned them a role that they are going to be managing vendors. Don't just allow vendors to order and go. We have to keep following them up. We have to keep after another is delivered, we have somebody reach out to the vendors to ask the we have somebody reach out to the customers to ask the customers, how did the order go? Did you experience any problem? So we adopted that means, and it's kind of helped us to understand the customers very well, and it kind of boosts our retention. And we also had pegs. We also had need to adopt push notifications on our app. So we keep engaging the customers with push notifications, and it kind of brings them back. So that issue of retention is a very big issue, and we actually encountered it as a team, and we were able to navigate our way towards it. So currently we have customers that have ordered and kept reordering, and we just have to map out few, not just few, we just have to map out some customers that are very important to us. We try not to make anything, go wrong in terms of picking up and delivering their packages. So we kept it very smooth and very simple, and it's been helping us so far in retention.
Awesome, awesome. Can I just check, would you say your focus would be more on the consumer B2C side or the B2B side in terms of who you deliver your food to?
So it's going to be more of B2C.
Okay, okay, wonderful, wonderful. And you know, I'm always curious curious to see how awesome operators, work with early funding, right? How did you actually work to finance FaveGrab, in the beginning and right now? And what were some of the most difficult financial decisions you had to make as a founder?
So I believe that businesses like this are not businesses that you just start up immediately and go about looking for funding. Funding is very important in building a startup, because they're coping in logistics and in every other sectors. So we decided to start FaveGrab. We actually bootstrapped FaveGrab with our own personal money. We built FaveGrab for up to 1 year with our own personal money. We invested every penny that comes into our hand. We invested it back into the business, and when we decided to actually go for funding, we didn't actually look for funding. Actually, an investor reached out to us, an angel investor. He saw our updates. He saw how we are going about our operations and how everything is going so fast. So he reached out to us and told us that okay, I love what you guys are doing, and I want to get on this stuff. How am I going to get on this thing? And I'm going to bring in money. How can I become a partner with you guys? So we took a look at the offer, and after analyzing the entire offer that they brought together, so we decided that okay, let's have a meeting, and we had a meeting with the investor, and that was how we raised our first investments. And that was not actually from a VC, it was actually from a private individual, from more like a friend actually. So it was, I will just call it an angel investment. So that was the first boost that we got, and that made us to actually invest more in marketing. We got an office, a proper office. We assembled more team of staffs, and that has really helped us in our operation so far.
Wonderful. Can I ask, how large has the FaveGrab team kind of grown to ever since this investment?
So very well. I'm a founder that believes in having people that think like I do working with me. So I don't think of adopting very large teams. So I just have to set up a very small team, a team that actually reasons like I do, and a team that actually sits in the same way that I do. So we just have 6 staffs currently.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So as we know, logistics is a very tough and can get very tight on margin business. It has a lot of volume to scale, but also can be very tight on unit economics, and that's key. What technology or processes would you say has given you the biggest edge in unit economics? Is it like route optimization, batching, dynamic pricing, or something else perhaps maybe that's less obvious you can give insights to our viewers on?
Okay, like I said previously, right optimization it doesn't work here because there is no proper mapping to be able to optimize properly. So it doesn't work here, and batching is not going to work here too because you may have a customer ordering from a particular location, and the next customer is going to ordering from a very different location that is going to be more kilometers apart from each other. So what we did is actually we actually decided to station riders in some particular areas that we know that we get frequent orders from, and we operate the dynamic pricing. So the app automatically calculates your location from the vendor. That is the pickup point to your actually location, which is drop off point. So that helps us, always get the exact delivery cost for each orders that we send out very well. So that's what we basically kind of relied on. So we don't do any route optimization or any batching. So we just stick to our usual method, which is planning routes very well on the back end and let app do the calculation of the delivery price.
Wait, so let me just check that again. So, let's say the rider gets a delivery order from a vendor, right? No, gets a delivery order. He then has to go to the vendor first, pick up the food, and then go to the customer's house, right? Um, how um I would assume like if the addresses are not correct, how would the delivery rider know where the restaurant is? And then how would they know where the customer's house is then?
So very well, like I said, this is actually a very small city. It's not actually as large as the mega cities existing in Nigeria. So we have riders that actually know their routes very well. They know each and every vendor that we work with. Obviously, they've been doing the deliveries from the vendors actually. So it's very easier for them, and more like the vendors are majorly stationed in particular locations in town. So the distance between vendor A and vendor B is not actually quite far. So they know each vendors particularly, and they must have done one or two orders with the vendors previously. So it's going to be very easier for them to go pick up and deliver to the customer. And in terms of the customers or customers address, we actually have them not only impute the addresses on the app is going to automatically get their precise locations and send the feedback to the rider. So the rider is going to work with the customer's precise locations. And having the fact that the rider app, because we also have a rider app that the rider uses to effect the deliveries. So coupled with the fact that the rider app has a kind of a mapping service. So the rider can actually start the trip, and from the trip the map on the rider app is going to be able to guide the rider from the vendor to the customer even without having to ask for any address. So the customer app fits the rider app with the exact delivery address of the customer, and then app does the direction for the rider. So they just have their phones in front of their bikes. They're looking at the routes, and they just go straight from the vendor to the customer without missing any location. So it's been working very well for us so far, so good.
Okay, I totally understand. And if you were to point out, one thing that you feel could severely improve your business or improve the unit economics of deliveries, right? What would you say? What's something that keeps you up at night that you really want to improve on?
So I feel like customers in these particular areas, like the Nigerian market in general, we have people that actually do not actually trust online services. So they exert this kind of doubts when they see stuff online, even when it comes to making payment online. So they even after finding out that you guys are genuine, there is still this a little bit of reservations in them making payment online. So if we can be able to keep building trust, if we can be able to keep building credibility, that's because we actually have a system. We tell customers that We are not a part of the brands that hold on to your money. If for any reason an order from a customer fails, we are going to issue an instant refund to the customers. So we try to make them feel relaxed and make them feel like, oh, even if after any issue occurs. So we actually use that pattern to kind of help us make sure that like issues like that doesn't arise.
I see. I see. Now, now, um, obviously this is awesome, I think, for the city of Ori, right? But I also see on your LinkedIn that you're saying Ori is just the beginning, right? You're thinking about
Definitely.
going for more cities and stuff, and there would require more logistical issues, right? Maybe on cities that are a little bit less familiar, right? Um, what does that next stage of scale look like for FaveGrab as you prepare for that, right? What are some of the new challenges you can anticipate with new cities, new categories, maybe beyond food, as well?
So we've actually begun. We have actually scaled to a different city. We have actually moved from our services from Owerri, and we have actually extended to a close city and a total different state called Port Harcourt in Nigeria here. So we have actually moved to this city, and we have actually started doing deliveries in this city. But what do we do differently in this city? We didn't see a need to start thinking about logistics cost and having to assemble another team of riders in Port Harcourt. So we kind of partnered with existing companies in that city that does logistics. So once an order comes in, we kind of dispatch these orders through our systems to them, and they can be able to any rider that is in that particular location. And it's a company that has a very large network of riders in the city. So we kind of adopted them, and we pay them for each delivery. So we don't actually pocket the delivery fees again ourselves. So we just kind of outsource the deliveries to independent riders, and they just pick up the orders and do the deliveries then. So it's actually a very beginning phase, and it's supposed to look like this. It's supposed to look a little bit difficult, but we actually have our way, to kind of keep planning around the issues of logistics, and I believe that with time, before this year runs out, we are going to figure out that aspect of the scaling completely. So we are already in another city. We are already currently operating in another city, and we are hoping that we keep improving and also moving to further cities. So we didn't plan to remain in one city. We plan to keep scaling until we get to almost all the whole state in Nigeria.
Okay. Awesome, awesome. Now I'm just gonna think about moving on to the last couple of questions we have here, okay? For our viewers here. So, what's a mistake that you made really early on or you made during this journey that you feel has taught you the most about building such a marketplace and delivery business in Africa?
So we've made a lot of mistakes, but I think the one that actually stands out to us was a mistake that we made in marketing. Yeah, we actually saw a market. We even had to engage consultants, and we were told that, oh, these markets may not turn out to us. And these markets are actually markets that has to do with more like university students. So we were thinking that university students are going to give us more volume than other busy professionals in the cities. So we decided to turn our attention to university students, and that didn't go as well as we planned. And we invested a lot of money into that project, and at the end of the day, we didn't get the desired result that we expected. So it was a very mistake to us, that in the sense, for a company that is kind of bootstrapping and a company that is kind of managing resources, we could have invested that money in more reasonable places in the city that we are currently operating, instead of trying to scale to universities within our course. So it was a mistake that we made, and we learned from it. And going forward, we now have to test run services in the location before we decide to invest in proper marketing. So I believe that such mistakes that we have learned seriously from it, and I believe that it's not going to happen that way again. So obviously, in building a company, you have to come across some certain places where you have to learn from your own mistakes. You have to make mistakes for you to keep getting better. So that was one of the mistakes that we made. And in the early stage of FavGrab, we had a lot of wrong hirings that we did. We had people from a basis of will I say emotions, that these people can actually do, that these people can be able to do something when we are not sure of what they can do. So we hired the wrong people, and we had to run the company for a while. And when we finally discovered that, oh, these people are not helping this company to grow, we had to let them go. But at the end of the day, these are mistakes that we made that if we had not made, we have gotten more results from being writing. So that was what I would say that are mistakes that we have made so far.
Understand, understand. That's awesome. So mistakes of hiring the wrong people as well as focusing on the wrong market. Why would you say university students are the wrong market, actually? I'm curious.
So most likely in Nigeria, you know, comparing the economic realities of Nigeria and other countries, you have to be very honest with yourself. An average university student in Nigeria is actually focused on saving money, not just saving money. They have these facilities around them very well. Like I lived in a university, I went to university in Nigeria, and I know how the processes operate. So sometimes you have to work out from your hostel or from your lodge. You have food vendors around you. So we didn't think it through that these students are still going to prefer to be walking to the food vendors instead of staying in the hostels and ordering and paying delivery fees. So we kind of underestimated how they are going to take the idea of food delivery app and paying delivery fees. So that was a mistake that we made. And I think that in the next time that we're going to attempt university locations, we are going to kind of conduct a feasibility studies in the university, and try to find out if this is going to work, how the food vendors and the campuses are positioned, so that we make sure that you are not trying to give solution to a student that already had a proven solution around them. So I believe that so far so good. That attempt of ours wasn't well planned out, but it's all about building a company, and these are the early stages of building a company, and that was one of the mistakes that we made.
Okay. Awesome, awesome. My last question. If there's one piece of advice you'll be giving to a young African founder trying to build a tech-enabled logistics or marketplace business today, what would it be and why?
So I would just tell anybody that's trying to get into this space or into this space of building anything. I would also have to tell them to start. You just have to start. No matter where you are, no matter the constraints that you think you may face, you just have to start. Because when we launched FaveGrab, I had no idea of where we are going. I had no technical idea. I couldn't write a single line of code. I was just somebody that wants to build something that is going to function this way. So, but in the journey, you tend to learn in the journey, you tend to improve in the journey, and you tend to get better in the journey. So, looking at where we are currently in building up this company, and looking back at where we are when we started, I still believe that the best decision I made for myself was actually starting, despite not knowing where I was going to, but I just decided to start. So, I will still advise anybody that is trying to get into this space to just start. Uh, Irrespective of the constraint that you may be seeing, just start, and everything will just be figured out as you keep going and keep building. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Favor, for your time on this call. Everyone, this is Favor from FaveGrab. Um, watch out for him as he continues to scale and build out his delivery business based out of Nigeria. Thank you so much, Favor, for your insights. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. It's nice being here.